Season 1, Jeff, Barracuda, and the North American Sweethearts bring it home under the banner of Cognitive Pride.
No one thought had a chance at the finals coming into this event. Coming as the number 2 seed. I'm down, ripping through. Titan down, falls 3. A double kill for himself. It's a 5-man. They're going to go for the win.
The world champions, Cognitive Pride, GG!
Season 2, we say hello to Europe as Adapting and Epsilon Esports slam it home.
Make a huge play. Adapting's about to go up. He's going to come crashing down. Who's the target? It's going to be all 3, and 2 will get stunned out.
Oh, no.
He's taking tons of damage.
Oh, no.
Chaos force to move forward.
They don't have enough time for this.
Again.
They don't have enough time
down
for this.
You go. It's a deicide. Ladies and gentlemen, Epsilon Esports.
Season 3, new name, same roster. 2-time world champions, Rapper and NRG.
Well, there's 4 members left, and into the sky goes Adapting. The ultimate's rain down. The Titan is under siege. Energy are looking to be world champions again. Long live the King! And once again, the King is Europe.
Season 4, Polar Bear Mike brings it back for America. E-United slams the hammer.
Kraken and knocked back. There's Death Walker controlling things. Panic Cat takes that Wolfie. Where's the remainder of the team fight?
That's one. But Adu and E-United keeps on going because Panic Cat.
That's 2. Still pushing forward. They're at the Titan. Only 2 members to play defense.
They can't do it.
And that's the game. That's the series. That is your Smite World Championship. Say hello to your North American victors, Polar Bear Mike and E-United.
Season 5, new map, new players, new teams, same destination. Who raises Thor's hammer? The Smite Pro League. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Smite Pro League. My name's Tom Battinger. This is Anatoly. We're going to be your hosts for this afternoon. We're down to the conclusion of our 3rd week, so we're going to look at some North American action, Splyce and Trifecta, and then later we'll see CLG take on LG.
The first half of the split is coming to a conclusion. Looking at what happened earlier in the week, Energy doing a good job taking out SK Gaming. Dignitas also continuing their undefeated streak.
Dignitas have looked really strong. Over here in North America, Splyce actually superseded Space Station Gaming. That was kind of nice. And United just continuing what they're doing, and Trifecta did find the win over Luminosity. We'll see if they can have what it takes to beat up Splyce, who, as I said, came up on top of SSG. Kind of a surprising outcome there.
A little surprising, honestly, because Space Station Gaming is normally that number 1/number 2 team right next to E-United out of North America.
And of course, as we like to remind you, hi-rez Expo on the horizon. hi-rezexpo.com is where you can find your tickets. We're down at DreamHack, baby. Downtown Atlanta. This is where it all happens. Smite, Paladins, a slew of other esports. You're not going to want to miss a moment of the action. So make sure to join us there in November, the 16th through the 18th specifically. Grab your tickets now, hi-rezexpo.com.
It's going to be a lot of just after extracurricular activities as well. If you wanted to join us for the after party, make sure you attend.
Yeah, as after party tickets as well. hrxafterparty.eventbrite.com. You guys can land that one. November 18th, that's the final day of the event. Show up at Main Event Entertainment, and we'll be able to hang out and have a lot of fun there. That's all the stuff going on outside of the game as far as live events are concerned. But if you're at home watching, you can also interact. Mixer has now opened up their account linking. You can set up your Smite and your Mixer accounts to be linked. You get yourself all eligible for free stuff as you watch the broadcast. But most importantly, perhaps, Pro League Bologna. She's all yours if you link your accounts.
That old school Bologna, it's heavily favored, preferred for a lot of players in the ranked environment, but also the in-stream rewards. If you're watching, why not link anyway and get all those rewards?
Certainly true. Before we get into our games today, why don't we take a look at a snapshot of North America. Up on top, the defending world champions, undefeated in this most important fall split, the red, white, and blue, 5-0. Splyce today, they beat up their their direct opponent, Space Station, last time. They're in third place, and they'll be taking on the bottom members, Trifecta, trying to see if they can leapfrog and get that second spot.
Trifecta trying to stay within the standings by getting this win. That would put them at 2-3. Splyce would be tied with Space Station Gaming at 3-2 if they can find a victory here today.
Technically, because of some pluses and minuses, they'd still be, but she tied in the win-loss, and I absolutely agree.
Yep.
So Splyce right now, they're on the up and up. The black and yellow have looked really, really strong. Aror and the boys, since teaming up in the summer split in their own gaming house, they've really made strides going forward. And I think that Splyce, because of that and some other aspects of their gameplay, these guys are an up-and-coming team that everybody has to be aware of.
A very flexible god pool that you can't really predict. The Aphrodite for Divios, whether it's spring, summer, or in that fall split. Switching between certain mid laners, whether it's moswal or the best at any given moment, provides that unknown factor coming out of them. Splyce started off in the rough edge where they lost to Luminosity in week number 1, but defeating Space Station Gaming earlier in week 3 was quite a performance.
CycloneSpin used to be a hardcore carry in his solo days, now moving over to the Hunter role in the beginning of Season 5, and has looked really strong. He's played a lot of different characters, really enjoys the Shibalanke as well. So, fun stuff there. The jungler, Cyno Shore. Oh, look, it's not Erlang Shen. I think he's been an interesting part of the team as well, although the meme is he really only plays one god.
I mean, that's why it's banned against him almost every single game, and it's no surprise because Cyno, coming from a different scene before, had a flexible god pool in that regard, and I think that his aggression is what allows Splyce to look for some of these highlight plays.
Yeah, he's certainly enabled his team to really step up to that next level, and Splyce here in third place, as we said, looking to tie up with Space Station depending on how Trifecta goes. Across the way, Trifecta, they've had more stumbles than they've had steps. This team has really had struggles here in Season 5. Honestly, just can't seem to get the ball rolling. There's plenty of talent. You've got Zapman over there in on the long lane, and Paul has been a fantastic call-up. I think perhaps one of the best, if not the best, transition from minor league to major league that I've seen in a long time. And Trifecta still coming up empty.
I would agree with you. I think that the transition has helped Trifecta in a way of asserting themselves for some of these early game plays, but if it doesn't work, they seem to stumble. They struggled very heavily in the fall split, losing to CLG, Space Station, and United, but they defeated Luminosity, where Splyce did lose to that team, so a little wishy-washy between these two teams up against Luminosity.
Trifecta looking to turn things around. They made a roster change in the jungle. Mass stepping away from the game. Introduced Sam for soccer here for the Trifecta roster. As we get into P's and B's for game number 1, that's certainly going to be a thought in Splyce's mind as they keep their eye on the prize and look towards the ban phase. Trifecta on the clock. And right away, they're going to ban out the Morrigan.
Well, if it's going to be the best or moswal, they're not going to be able to pilot the Morrigan today, and that's going to allow maybe a Circuit for Sanford Soccer, but knowing Sanford Soccer, he provides his own individual unique style, so who knows where he's going to go.
Paul and Zapman both get their Uller banned out by Splyce, not really paying attention to those top bans. Freya, Baron, all those guys.
Athena as well is open, so I think Trifecta should instantly snap pick this Guardian.
Certainly could be. Baron somebody also on the board, so is Chernobog. Chernobog, the first pick, is, in my opinion, the correct choice. I think having the Hunter with the Global is just looking really strong. Splyce across the way for their mid laner. Going to go with the Vulcan selection next to the Ratatoskr, and this is a strong combo for the jungle and mid to really work with.
A little risky to pick both of these gods before an Odin ban. Maybe pick the Vulcan in this third slot, because what are the chances that Paul's going to pick Vulcan? That's not his style. He's more of like the Raijin, you know, a lot of the burst damage out of the Agni, loves to rush the Bancroft's talent, and you also give up Athena along the way, which has a lot of great setup with the Vulcan. I think that could have been a missed opportunity.
Well, Erlang Shen will be the jungler of choice, or at least won't be the jungle of choice for Splyce, taken by Trifecta, Athena as well. And Artio will round out the draft here for Splyce, whether it's in the hands of Divios or in the hands of the support player. That's yet to be seen. So Vulcan, Ratatoskr, and Artio is what Splyce is bringing to the party so far. Trifecta on the other side, Chernobog, Athena, and Erlang Shen. And Trifecta have been doing their homework. They know that CycloneSpin loves him some Shibalanke, so they're going to ban out the Mayan Hunter.
It was funny because the Best and Zapman used to team together before during Curse Gaming back then, and they loved the Xbalanque back then. So both of them kind of favoring that style. They know the strengths of that. And I love this Artio pick, specifically into Erlang Shen. Whenever he's going to be looking to blink in, you can instantly drop that cripple field, prevent that initial knockup.
Is it Nami ban also? Very interesting target bans. By the way, I love how you said that Zapman and Best used to team together.
Yeah, back in Curse Gaming.
Totally, you played with them on the same team.
Yeah.
You could have...
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anatoly.
We never really played Xbalanque the way Best and Zap played it in Curse Gaming, which is why I didn't reference me teaming up with Zap and Best. It was deliberate.
Anatoly, everybody. Neith, the choice here for CycloneSpin is Anhur and Ymir go the way of Trifecta. Likely to see Anhur and Chernobog play in the middle. One of those gods will play in the middle lane, so we'll see where they wind up. Splyce with the last pick. Xing, a god that Divios has really, really enjoyed, and he's going to go in that direction. So we'll see if it's enough to make Splyce the victor in this matchup, and that's what we'll ask you guys at home. Splyce, Trifecta. Who's taking this one? For my money, Toli, I mean, this one, I'm leaning towards Splyce because they've been so powerful as of late.
You say that, but then I'm looking at this Ymir. I'm a sucker for Ymir, so it's not really fair for my analysis. So I got to lean a little bit towards Trifecta. A good wall will just win a team fight.
It's absolutely true, especially when you look at the characters that Splyce have selected. The wall can absolutely really run into some issues. So, without further ado, we bring you game number 1. Splyce, Trifecta. Commentators, take us away.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Totally, Finch, and Aggro here, moving into Trifecta up against Splyce. And this really is an important set here, Ryan. I mean, Splyce have a chance to be tied right up there at second place with Space Station, then come out here with that 3-2. They'll be right there with them after their victory earlier. And Trifecta have a chance to upset that and muddy those waters again going into the second half of the split.
You imagine that Splyce is coming in really locked in, but Trifecta had just a really, really positive performance earlier this week up against Luminosity. May have given them enough momentum to actually end up contesting in this set. I think Trifecta had a week, the first week with Sam here, it just felt a little bit off. But in the week since, they've looked significantly better. So a week ago, I would have said this is easy for Splyce. Now, I'm not so sure.
I'm right there with you. This is one of those matches that will kind of prove it for Splyce. They need to be able to win it, but it will absolutely be tough. This Trifecta team are no slouches. And Splyce feel like the way to get there is with this Vulcan. They first picked this one, at least in their pick phase, for moswal. They wanted to get him on this pick that he feels comfortable with. There's a lot going good for Vulcan, I feel like, right about now. But, I mean, first pick...
It's early, but Splyce have very clearly decided they want to prioritize moswal and his picks, and they seem to like him on these immobile, big damage mages. A lot of opwash for moswal as of late. Vulcan fits very similar builds.
50-50 right down the middle in terms of who you all think will win out there at home. And I think y'all might actually be right on the head with this. I might give Splyce a slight favor to it, but it is very close on paper, and Trifecta certainly can go the distance up against the Splyce roster and try and turn their split around, because it's just so wide open here in North America. United, I think, far and away the top team here right now, and they've certainly played like it. But for whoever wants to be right with them to auto-qualify, it's wide open.
It really does feel that way. Space Station has the games where they look like they are quite obviously at the top of North America, and then they've got some games where they don't really impress a whole lot at all. So we'll see if Splyce can take advantage of that and force Space Station into some bad games and put pressure on them, because I think that's the best way to do it. Don't let them feel comfortable, feel like, oh, we can get away with whatever. Even if we lose this set, we'll be top 2. Put some pressure on them, because that'll up the level of play of not just Trifecta and Space Station, but of everyone in North America.
Or realize they have an opportunity to try and make it up there. On the other side, on Trifecta, they believe their opportunity is going to be through this Ymir in the solo lane for Scary D. And I'm a big fan of Ymir. You know, we see him a lot, and he brings a lot of tools as Aror is going to get interrupted in that route. But in the solo lane, I mean, it's not entirely unheard of. We've certainly seen it here before. Scary D's played it, but I mean, what are they trying to get from this?
It's as high pressure as you can get from a Guardian, first of all. Artio right there with him, but Ymir can really clear the way pretty quickly. He can invade very well because his 2 is such absurdly high base damage, even early in the game, that it's very easy for him to pop through and just Glacial Strike down a camp. One auto attack will clear it. But it's really just this wall in the late game team fights, in particular to kill moswal and to kill Aror. Those 2 are the big ones. Cyno as well will have trouble with it. Cyclone and Divios can get up and over, of course, but you're really looking for Scary to fight in the jungle. Trifecta should be fighting in the jungle with this team because Anhur pillar covers so much space. Athena taunt will grab a whole area, and of course the Ymir wall. Whereas Splyce, their lane fight isn't too bad. Their jungle fight isn't bad either. Vulcan gets very good in the jungle and tough to play around, but I think that Trifecta's team composition fights so much better in the jungle that they should look to take all their fights there if possible.
And it's going to be a very difficult task for Splyce dealing with the Ymir and the Athena, as you highlighted already, right? Athena is instant beads from you. You just have to do that. Ymir is really right there at the same level. That big cone where you're stunned for what feels like forever. You got to bead it. You got to get away from it, and you just can't bead both. It's just not an option. So as long as Scary D and Neil are staggering them, there might be more questions than Splyce can afford to answer, right? I mean, Aror doesn't even have an ultimate. CycloneSpin with the World Weaver and the Earthshaker from moswal. They don't have the tools to get out of this as easily as some other characters do. So they could certainly be in some trouble.
The chain CC potential is just absurd as Divios tried to toss Scary into tower, and I think that would have been a kill for Divios just because the root would have kept Scary under tower for so long, but quick reaction time by Scary D to go into the Shards of Ice. Both solo laners probably happy with that outcome, both calling to their junglers, hey, we can kill the Guardian now, his ult's down, but my ult's down too. Don't worry about that, we'll kill him anyways.
Yeah, I got that. That's free for me. He's able to pull it out on their side. Is taking a look towards these mid laners here as well. Both of them going with some stacking early, but Paul, perhaps unsurprisingly on the Hunter mid, already has the Transcendence lock and loaded. Meanwhile, moswal started with that tier 2, but then went right into the tier 2 boost as well to snatch up some mobility.
Definitely feels like he needs it. Is on this right-hand side. Here come the ganks onto the right. World Weaver doesn't do a whole lot, and Cyno is the one who's in trouble. It'll be first blood for Trifecta. It's not just one global on Trifecta, it's the whole squad basically there very quickly. Paul and Neil able to come and affect that fight.
Yeah, just really nothing Cyno could do at that point. At a certain point, Divios was just watching from the tower like, sorry, I mean, we thought we had something there, but they can rotate pretty quick, and that does end up being first blood over to Trifecta. It is on Scary D, which means it might not impact the map too early on the way it might have had it been like Sam, for example, who grabbed that, or Paul, and could bring it back with them to the rest of the map. But that is going to help this Ymir get a little bit ahead of the Xing Chen.
Tank Boots actually the pick for Divios is really worried about the chain CC potential that we were just talking about. Athena taunt into a freeze. The freeze is normally, what, 3 seconds at max rank, so you're DR'd, sure, but you're still frozen for an extra second. It's 2.25, I'm sorry. That would be, the 3-second freeze, that would be pretty nuts. But you have so much chain CC potential, plus the knock-up from Sam, that the Tank Boots for the crowd control reduction is a pretty good idea from Divios. And the cooldown is going to be nice, but you can get the cooldown elsewhere, whereas you can't really get that same level of cheap CCR that Tank Boots give you quite as easily early on in your build. The Xing Chen pick is really good because the Furious Roar is a 50% attack, a basic attack damage reduction while that's ticking on them, and that's huge.
Sam for Soccer is going to meet up with Cyno, but a good knock-up sets up return from Paul. They drop some ultimate out from the mid lane Vulcan. That means they are going to look for the taunt for follow-up, but they don't really find much there. At the very least, it looks like they get the Aegis out from Paul.
Definitely sloppy commit there.
It's curious.
Splyce. I mean, if Cyno blink stuns, and that's immediately into an ult from moswal. Sam doesn't have beads. He doesn't even have blink. It's still on cooldown for a little bit longer. Aurora can maybe get close enough, cripple out Sam. That way he can't use his 72 transformations, and that's a pretty easy kill for Splyce. But Cyno just a little bit off the mark with that stun, and that's definitely enough to get Sam out.
But they pull the trigger without hesitation. They're considering bringing over this Defender of Olympus for the blue buff Invade as well, and they might need it. Aurora here, Cyno, and Divios as well. They will drop down that hammer. NeiruMah has made his way to the fight, but Divios controls two right inside the ultimate coming out as well. Aurora now in a heap of trouble, but it's Sam who ends up falling first. Now Aurora has to run away on the right-hand side. That's going to be an answer back.
Paul just a little bit late to that engagement. I don't know if his ult just came up or what, but he wanted to get there a little bit earlier than he really did. Huge knock-up from Cyno. Trifecta a little bit too tunnel-visioned on killing Aurora, and his horrific emblem made it impossible for them to continue the chase after that. Used after the sprint was just starting to wear off from NeiruMah, so that means that horrific gets a lot more value. Good group up by Splyce and showing that they've still got that fight in them, and that Cyno is able to still put out a lot of damage.
And they have to keep doing that because that blue buff has been a point from Trifecta, at least early on in this game, to rotate over not just Sam, but really it feels like everyone, to try and make that blue buff invade go through. And it'll start to hurt Divios after a while if that keeps happening, especially with that first blood their way. Now they answer back, and Trifecta have to reconsider if they want to try and go for it again next time.
Scary's got a pretty solid lead so far in the solo lane. I mean, about 1,000 gold. It will go down a little bit because Divios has a wave to pick up, but it's about 800 in that solo lane. A lot of that coming from first blood, yes, with those blue buffs as well, as you just mentioned. That's not going to make up for the XP, of course. So Cyno is getting a little bit more XP than Sam because Cyno isn't going over to help and invade consistently. He's more about getting his camps down as quickly as possible. There usually is some sort of trade-off whenever you're consistently invading a buff like that on your side of the map. And Cyno's been able to take advantage at least a little bit, but I'd rather have a slightly bigger... I'd rather have a big Ymir than a slightly bigger Rat. They're just like the size difference, if anything else.
You already have a pretty big Ymir, and then just imagine getting him like ahead in terms of farm. Even bigger.
That'd be huge.
Scary. It would literally be huge, yeah. That's a good point that she raises. Zapman and Paul going to be the ones for Trifecta in the late game getting it done, right? They're going to be their damage dealers. We might have to wait, though. Blue buff invade, Trifecta undeterred, going for it again. Sanfreclonespin at least secures the buff. Now it's about the fight. Whirlwind and Rage and Steel will hold Sanfreclonespin. Root will be following up through the ultimate, and that's a bunch of damage. But Defender of Olympus keeps Sam alive. Knock up from Cyno. Big heal keeps Sam alive as well, but Divios wants to keep up the chase.
Furious Roar should be coming up soon enough. Divios doesn't get it because Aurora does, and stun on to NeiruMah, but no way Cyno can keep that chase going. Great attempt to get Sam out, just not quite enough.
There it is, though. You saw in the back end, Scary's damage is certainly there onto the Rat at this point. Even with that Glad Shield, not going to help him against the Ymir. But they got the buff, but once again, they lose a kill on the back end of it. If they keep losing kills, is it still worth it for Trifecta?
No, I don't think so. And Paul ulted that time, but didn't actually follow up on the ultimate. He used it as the global slow, but decided to not come and affect that fight. You wonder if that would have been enough to turn it in their favor.
Well, two-man taunt lines up, but they get a stun of their own onto both members. Neil is going to be the first one to fall, and Scary D in trouble now. Two-man freeze into the ice carpet. The in-hand is there too, but Cyno makes that with 3 HP. Blink and knock up from Sam is going to be now Divios is the one in trouble.
Ooh, Divios jukes out the Glacial Strike, and that might just be enough. He's got 2 leaps.
Wow.
Wall is off from Scary, and Divios is still in trouble because Sam's coming around.
Zapman's coming around looking for Aurora. Desert Fury misses 1 or 2 more spears. Would have been enough to get it done. Aurora is going to keep running for his life and certainly should make it out. That was Splyce looking for the invade and the blue buff of Trifecta.
And they did it that time around. Trifecta's got a problem right now. They're grouping up. They have multiple members getting hit by everything Splyce is doing. I mean, that was a 2-man rat ult, or 2-man rat stun, I believe.
Right.
2-man knock up and root from Divios. I mean, it's just too much damage that's hitting multiple members. You have to make Splyce choose a target and then let the person who isn't getting hit by these abilities end up impacting you. That is definitely just a little bit too much grouping so far from Trifecta.
There's a lot that you got to do, a lot of calls and positional awareness you got to have in these moments, especially with just how much control there can be on both sides. There's not quite as much for Splyce, I would say, as for Trifecta, but that makes it all the more important that you're not letting yourself get hit by what little there is and allowing them to sort of maximize their value. As Trifecta has already Zapman here on Oracles, they're not going to come any further towards the objective. They want these mid-harpies. Aurora steps forward. They commit the World Weaver and the ultimate from moswal over the top. Sanfreclonespin, see you later.
NeiruMah knocked up by Cyno as well. Another knock up by moswal, and Cyno will confirm that one, really abusing the lack of purification beads for Sanfreclonespin.
Well, now there's a cripple field down, causing problems for Paul. Zapman with a nice knock-up. 2-man stun from Aurora allows him to reposition, but Cyno goes in aggressively, questioning everything, I guess, as he ends up falling to Zapman with the Desert Fury. He will use beads on the back end, but a seeming unnecessary death.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I got nothing for you. I mean, the stun was already down from Cyno, so he's not dashing to stun Zapman. Zap beads, got that out of him. We did it.
Aside from that, a really good fight, though, I would say, for Splyce, until they kind of gave that away for free on the back end. Could be some trouble here now, though, for CycloneSpin as Paul joins, and yeah, there's really nowhere for that Neith to go. Easy for Zapman to confirm.
Really good teamwork so far between Zap and Paul. I mean, they played that well in the mid lane together. They play that engagement perfectly. As soon as CycloneSpin uses backflip, Paul has Living Nightmare up and available. Zap confirms the double slow. And now it looks like Splyce was starting to get some momentum, and they were. By killing San Francisco over and over again, Trifecta just punish the mistakes and go for the Gold Fury. They're basically just counterpunching at this point.
Divios not getting the better of this trade here in the solo lane, but shouldn't be much more from it. In fact, it's Cyno who's nearby. I was trying to bait Scary D in, but a nice win for Trifecta as they grab that Gold Fury, now have the gold lead. Experience at this point, though, does look normalized, so that just means it's varying across the different lane matchups, but at this point, no one really has a significant advantage either way. Even gold's not really a huge margin, only less than 2,000. It's still very close between these teams.
Very much so, but as I was saying, it felt like Splyce was starting to gain all the momentum. Eventually, this plan of just dump everything on Sam and kill him isn't going to work because he's going to hit 12 and get beats. And then the World Weaver into Vulcan ult combo isn't quite as guaranteed, though moswal's accurate, should be able to at least put Sam in a pickle between deciding if I should go into the Vulcan ult or back towards the enemy team. You basically always want to overshoot Vulcan ult. The worst thing you can do is undershoot it and then let the enemy player just walk away from you and get away. You either make him walk into the ult or back towards you. Landing it on top of them, often not your best option because it's so slow.
That's a good idea. Trying to use it to funnel them back in. That's that space control we like to talk about with these abilities. Something Plot does pretty well too, but moswal got to get it done on the Vulcan here this game. And he's going into the messengers. We'll talk about it later because Cyclone is certainly dead. Cyno up in the air, but that's too little too late. And that's without beads as well. CycloneSpin just getting caught out without him.
Cyclone rather, used the beads whenever Paul and Zap were chasing him down on the left. And that's where relic conservation is really important. Sometimes recognizing you're dead and not using a relic is your best option.
Yes.
And I think that was certainly the case for Cyclone because his backflip wasn't coming up anytime soon. And he had 2 hunters on top of him that were going to be able to chase him out. Instead, he uses the beads, dies anyways, and then he comes back to lane and dies again very, very quickly. So sometimes the conservation of relics is just as, if not more important than using them on time when you need them.
That is going to mean a tier 1 tower now for Trifecta. Over on the dual lane side, Zapman and Neil able to push that down. And that does now mean that Zapman is able to build himself a nice lead over CycloneSpin as well. Whenever we see Anhur, I like to talk about their transition into the late game, but it's not as relevant, I don't think, here, because he is going up against a Neith, right? Not by any means a late game powerhouse hunter. So Trifecta, with the Chernobog to sort of supplement that anyway, should certainly be in a fine spot as this game continues on.
I agree with you. I mean, Chernobog is an excellent late game hunter. Not quite as good as some other hunters in the late game, but his attack speed steroid is good enough to put him in the conversation as a good enough late game hunter.
Right.
Will he be able to match the damage output of moswal? Almost certainly not, but it's still not horrible for him. I do think that Trifecta's name of the game in the late game is just control. I mean, they've got such area denial between Scary D and Zapman and Neil and Sam. Like, it's just CC and area denial throughout, and then you expect there to be enough damage out of these ADCs to get the job done. The problem is, if Splyce is able to stack physical defense, and Aror going for mystical mail instead of sovereignty is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Splyce need a sovereignty in this game.
But Aror likes doing damage, and mystical mail lets him do a little more damage, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
yes.
and he likes that.
I know he does. Aror definitely likes that. His team probably also likes staying alive.
Yes.
So they should probably get a sovereignty. Whether it's Aror or Divios, someone needs it.
Very strong up against the double hunter competition with Scary D. Repositions away from Cyno. But I mean, man, look at this bump. This is just becoming... Wasn't it not too long ago when mages were saying they felt like they just didn't have enough damage as it was already?
Yeah.
And now everyone's making this Bumba's core in the build, it feels like, no matter who they're playing it, almost. You don't have a great escape option. The movement speed's nice. moswal picking this up here.
I think it's less about the damage output and more about the survivability that it gives you. The argument that was told to me, and I think this does make some sense, is on a god like Vulcan, if you're taking damage, you're probably dead anyways. If the enemy team wants to kill you and can get on top of you, you're probably dead. But Bumba's keeps you out of an extra 2 or 3 situations where normally you would be dead, but Bumba's means that I won't die anymore. I mean, look, he is zooming.
He's fast
right now. And sure, you get some DPS loss, but if my ultimate's going to do 1200 to you, and now it only does like 1070, is that big of a deal? I think across the entire kit, it does really hurt your DPS more so than just going down and going, oh, I lost 100 damage here, who cares? I think that does really impact your overall DPS, but the famous saying, your DPS is 0 when you're dead, it still rings true, and so this does give you enough survivability in enough places where I understand the pickup.
Yeah, as long as you're getting some more abilities off, as Zapman's going to drop the Desert Fury. Aror is the target. CycloneSpin, it's a nice Spirit Arrow. Cyno is there as well for the knockup. They almost able to find the kill, but moswal in trouble in mid lane as well. Has to expend beads, and Zapman will fall.
Boosh beads by moswal, but still safe. That was a fun fight to follow from his perspective. Didn't get to see Zapman fall on the backside, but good perspective on what it's like to play mid in that sort of positioning as Cyclone tries to get in here and affect this Gold Fury. Blink forward from Divios will bring someone back, but out of Vulcan.
That means that it's not going to have the follow-up. Neil might still end up falling. He dashes away. Moswal falls to Scary D. Divios will tick down Neil, making it a 2-for-1 so far, but they're not done yet. Sam has expended the 72 transformations for a knock-up. Pin comes back in, but Scary D is stuck by himself.
Great roots coming from both Cyclone and Divios. Scary should fall. Cyno is here, and he takes down Paul. Scary will end up dying, and Splyce end up killing 4 members of Trifecta. Zapman's respawned, but he just did. It'll be a while before he's back from base. It's just Sam here to try and defend. Does have Blink, but seems more interested in trying to just secure his own buff.
And even that's going to prove a difficult task. Looks like he is able to get that done in the end, but Gold Fury will be going over to Splyce, and well earned. A 4-for-1 in that fight, and it really does start off a bit hectically, doesn't it, around that engagement in the middle lane. That looks great for them, but it's such a commitment onto Aror to start that fight off that Zapman's a little bit too far forward. Cyno comes in, finds a nice knock up there, finishes him off, and the fight goes from there.
It really is an overcommit onto Aror that starts that all off. I mean, he's got Mystical Mail. He's really tanky. He also does a lot of damage, I guess.
That's a good point. Specifically, him is tanky. It's not like with Sovereignty, right? Where they're all extra tanky. Specifically, Aror is a bad target.
Yes, he is the worst target. Outside of Divios. Divios is a worst target. Outside of that, yes, you're right. That it is easier to find targets that are not named Aror or Divios. And we're going to try again.
They are, and this time they will be successful. Zapman gets the last hit. Aror gets taunted back in, and Desert Fury's enough. But can they capitalize on this small power play? 5v4 in their favor. All 9 players currently alive are here, at the very least, but Pyromancer already down. Can Trifecta really parlay this into a Fire Giant is the question. And looks like they don't feel confident. They want to force Splyce into a bad fight instead.
Tier 2 on right is just the call in my mind. Yes, it's only worth 100 gold a player, but it won't lose you the game by trying to go for it, where I think a Fire Giant truly could end up spelling the demise of Trifecta should they try and pull it, even with Aurora on the respawn.
Boy, this is close though, isn't it, between these two teams? It really does feel like North America is one big clump. 2 through 6 is just
you never know.
Throw a deck of cards in the air, right, and just see which card lands face up as Cyno gets caught out by Zapman in the middle lane, who's also been playing this Anhur exceptionally well, I feel.
Is that how you decide things that you don't know what to decide? You throw a deck of cards face up? Like you throw a deck of cards?
You throw them in the air and then just whichever one lands face up.
That is an awfully messy way to do it.
It only works if there's 52 things you're trying to choose from and you just go with
And you just hope that only one card lands face up?
No. You just go with the one you like see first or something. Or you mark one and then that is the one.
But what if that's face down? Finch, I'm trying to show you the way here and tell you that there are much better ways. If you've got 52 different ways to decide something,
you're in a good spot.
Then you should shuffle the cards and just freaking draw one.
Good point. My analogy didn't work that well. Why are we microscoping it, huh?
Because that's what I do. Okay? I give you crap on cast. Like that's my bit.
That's true.
You should be
on
used
cast,
to
by the way.
Only on cast. Yes.
What
are you implying?
Yeah.
What do you?
Only what is obvious that it bleeds into everything else.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think so. Thanks for your input, though.
Sure. Trifecta and Splyce, though, now 22 minutes in and essentially deadlocked at this point. I mean, these two teams are so evenly matched, it feels. Like I was saying, really all of North America outside of United feels that way, and it's up for grabs for anyone, deck of cards or not, at this point. And Zapman's really been playing well. It feels like it's been a while since I feel like he can be the guy. As good as I think he still is, he isn't often able to carry the way he used to. This game, he's looking really good and comfortable on this Anhur.
He really has, and it's a good team composition for Zap to really shine because, like I said, there's so many beads burners, there's so much area control, and now NeiruMah has picked up with that upgraded Sunder as well to make it so that Zap's ultimate, even if you taunt Divios or taunt Aurora, an upgraded Sunder into a full Desert's Fury is an awful lot of damage that you have to respect. I love this Sunder pickup. The one concern that was the problem with this composition is how good is their late game damage. Now, if Neil is accurate with the Sunder and the target focus is good, that should result in a kill almost every time it's used.
Divios looks to be the one that wants to get this party started. They're going to use an ultimate from CycloneSpin. Zapman is the focal point. Aegis and Defender of Olympus all expended, but the knock-up too good. Zapman falls, but have they committed too far?
Maybe. Both frontliners picked up and tossed by Divios. Here comes Paul trying to finish off Cyno, sure, but Cyno able to escape, but gate a great wall by Aror, but it's Scary who ends up falling because of the damage from moswal.
Aror will eventually end up meeting his maker as a result of it, so it's still a 2v1 in Splyce's favor. Yes, Aror ends up being punished for their overcommit off a great wall there, but Splyce now 4-member strong, CycloneSpin still very healthy. They're going to position around this Fire Giant. moswal waiting to see if anyone comes over, but it's all Splyce. This Fire Giant should be theirs.
That was such a weird engagement that I think it caught Trifecta off guard. I mean, Zap had both relics and ult. There's no way they're going to full commit to me with this.
And Athena.
Right? Exactly, but it was enough. Neil a little bit late on the Athena ult, but I think that it was probably not a good communication saying, I need help in this spot, because it was such an odd engagement that I wonder if Zap called for help in time. And I can't blame him. If I'm in Zap's shoes, I'm not calling for help in that spot. I'm calling, what are these guys doing? Like, what are they thinking right now? But Splyce clearly taking advantage of that underestimation of their damage.
It really I kept watching and going, man, they're not going to keep going. I'm right there with you. And there's maybe a chance that Trifecta ended up a little bit on the back foot, but if they were on the back foot then, they certainly are now. Splyce now, after winning that fight 2-for-1, have the Fire Giant on their side. There's still plenty of gold to be farmed here from this map. All 3 Tier 1 towers still standing. The Tier 2s obviously then right behind them. That's a ton of gold to add to their pockets. And in games like this, I feel like these are the ones where you defend a little further up than most, right? Because you can't afford to give up all that gold for free.
No, you can't, because if you, yes, they have Fire Giant, but if you, would you rather fight someone who's up 2,000 gold with a Fire Giant, or a team without Fire Giant who's up 9,000 gold? Give me the 2,000 gold and Fire Giant fight every day of the week. I think that defending Tier 2s is the call here for Trifecta.
Teleport is going to be coming out, so Scary D will be the front line for the team, able to find the freeze. Up into the air is Cyno looking for a target as Sam controls 2. And the backside of the fight, Knockup comes out, but moswal has sent his ultimate through and Sam gets deleted.
That was quick and easy. Trifecta, I just said they should be defending Tier 2s, but they were just too late to that Tier 2. They were Scary to go forward with the teleport and Neil's ultimate. That allows Splyce's backline to back up so easily without any real threat from them. They just have to be in better position to defend that next time.
And it was curious, Sam was so far at the back of that fight, as this time Zapman's right in the middle of it. Cyno already at half HP. Desert Fury can't quite track him down, but they're going to continue the chase with Aror and Divios. Meanwhile, Phoenix already removed. Scary D inside the shards of ice, but he is going to need a little bit of assistance here. He's not tanky enough. Splyce finds one more kill.
Now up 6,000 gold with a Phoenix down. You can't really defend Tier 2s anymore, not with 2 members still dead on your side. Splyce's backline dive is just so strong. I mean, how do you peel Divios and Aror, who are both dealing very relevant damage to your backliners, who are able to stick all over Zapman? They've kind of left Paul to his own devices for the most part. It has been kill Zap has been the plan, and it's worked out.
Next up on the list is going to be Neil. Doesn't even get that dash off. Pulled right back in to all the damage you could ask for. Another easy one for Splyce. This Tier 2 tower, a foregone conclusion. And they might even keep right on surging. Another minute plus on this Fire Giant, and really only 3 to defend. Cyno goes up into the air. They want it.
Cyno might try and land onto one of these carries, but really more of a zoning effort. Mid-Phoenix goes down. You can tell Splyce's ideas are very well communicated. Like, if I Neith ult this guy, what do we have? And it's, I can blink ult him before he gets his dash off, and we know we can kill him with the follow-up damage after that. That's back-to-back ults from CycloneSpin, where the enemy team is really just staring down the barrel, and they just shoot it anyways, because oftentimes you're so used to getting Neith ulted from a distance that you don't really respect that. This is a guaranteed stun.
Yes.
From any, I don't care if I'm right next to you or across the map, it's a guaranteed stun when it hits.
And a team like Splyce is so able to make use of that kind of a tool. It's such a small window that you can use from that World Reaver connecting, and Splyce have been able to capitalize every single time to the tune of a 10,000 gold lead, 11,000 experience as well, which is becoming less relevant, but the gold's certainly still hitting home. But I want to talk a bit about the Tier 2 tower defense a little bit more, because we were literally just asking for them to do it.
Right.
But like you said, they came into it so messy. Sam was kind of alone on the backside trying to peel away 2 members or trying to keep them zoned while Scary D was taking up front. It just didn't look like they got in set for their defense.
Plus, Sam's speeds were still down, so he's dead to Divios' ultimate every single time he uses it. If defending a tier 2, I think, is the right call, but it doesn't need to be the first one.
Right.
You can give up that left side tier 2, and they're not going to back and spend the gold. There's no difference between you defending left side tier 2 or mid tier 2 once you get Sam's speeds up, once you're actually set in position. Should they have been in position to defend left side tier 2? Probably. But with Sam's beads being down, it's probably better for them to give that up and wait until the left side Phoenix. And if Splyce wants to try and seize a Phoenix up 2,000 gold with the Fire Giant, by all means, that's what we want if we're on Trifecta. Or let's just take the better fight in mid. Yes, we give up an extra 1,500 gold by defending the second tier 2, but that's 1,500 gold or what we saw, which is all that gold, Phoenix in mid and left, and a whole lot of deaths.
And as you highlighted, that 1,500 gold wouldn't affect the next fight either, just from giving up that tier 2. They wouldn't have had a chance to use that yet.
Look at moswal.
He's so fat.
Yeah.
Oh no, Paul, you were there. Oh no.
Not
He's been
anymore.
removed. CycloneSpin is the next one in trouble, but they're going to make it an even trade by grabbing Zapman. Cyno gets the credits. Sam for Soccer is locked down inside the cripple field. Divios catches him and forces out the beads, but they can keep right on chasing. He does land up the knockup, but moswal's rotated in. Big ultimate right in front, and that's going to slam in on Scary.
But Scary's still so healthy. Sam's splitting perfectly as well, so no chase onto him. The dedication is on to Scary D, and Scary will fall, there's no doubt about it. It'll just take Splyce a little bit. This opens the door for the right side tier 2, but killing CycloneSpin is critical at that point. By the way, that was with a Magi's Cloak last item from moswal. He doesn't even have 5 damage items in Bumba's mask. It's 4 damage items in Bumba's mask.
Yeah, and he just does it, doesn't he? Poor Paul. I mean, just kind of a little bit too far forward over there in duo, and you just can't outrun this Vulcan with the Bumbas. Not at this point, man. He caught up to him, removed him early on. It was very fortunate that they were able to find CycloneSpin in trade, but they're still going to make them pay by grabbing the tier 2 tower in right, getting this Fire Giant as well. Left side Phoenix is weak in mid, should be back up before too long. The Splyce will still have some work to do, but they'll be in a great spot.
They certainly will be. Splyce looks primed and ready to take this first game. If Trifecta are going to come back and win it from here, it's got to be Splyce's front line not staggering properly. If they go in one at a time, get Athena taunted into a Sunder, into a stun or a root, and then Zap and Paul can both focus them out, that is a way that I think Trifecta could lose from or win from here. But as long as Splyce plays this properly, they should have this under wraps.
Yeah, it feels like they can kind of go wherever they want at this point, right? Just might as well throw 52 cards in the air and just pick one at this, because...
But then you'd have to clean it up, Finch. Someone's got to clean up the 52 cards.
I'll clean it up.
Sure. You were the kid who your parents were like, hey, you want to play 52 pickup? And then they like throw the deck on the ground and you're like, about that. You were like, yes,
I was like, yeah, let's do it again, yeah. Do you have any more cards? I'm just excited all the time. Cyno going up into the air. A nice freeze from Scary D. Will find one, but he takes a ton of poke in return. Cyno picks Zapman, of course, in the backside. That does force out his Aegis, and the mid-Phoenix already down yet again. Fire minions right there behind it to barrel in. And now Splyce can go wherever they want. Looks like left side Phoenix will be the call.
I love the confidence there from Zap, where it's the exact same play. He's all the way at the back of the Phoenix, and he gets Neith ulted. And he still just stands there. Just no flinch. Doesn't use the ultimate. Doesn't use the Aegis. Like, nah, I know you already did this to me once, but I'm good. I'm chilling with this. I love that confidence.
That's what makes Zapman. I really feel like it's true. When he's able to play... I don't know if the word is almost disrespectful, but it's like unbridled confidence, right? From like, I'm just better than you.
Yeah.
I feel like is really what the word is for to describe it. And that, I think, is very core to Zapman at his best.
Without a doubt. When Zapman is playing well, then it plays with that sort of confidence, then it gets the whole pro league gets more fun to watch.
Cyno does go in and try and force out the beats. Looks like he finds one from Paul. That's a nice win. But Divios pays too hefty a health price, but Zapman is again the target. CycloneSpin with that ultimate chases him down, and they're free to start hammering away at the Phoenix. Divios, Cyno, and Aror are going to be their frontline presence, harassing the backline of Trifecta. CycloneSpin finds Scary. Cyno finds a two-man knockup. Aror removes Neil, and really nowhere for Paul to go. Only one member left. Surrender vote has started, but too little too late. Splyce take game one.
An impressive performance from moswal in particular. Look at his player damage.
Absurd.
29k, a full 10,000 above everyone else in the game. And he had an item that made him deal 20% less. He could have done
And a Mad Guy's
20% more. And a Mad Cloak.
Yeah.
moswal definitely his best performance in the SPL yet, and this is what you can expect whenever he gets up to snuff and he gets up to speed and everyone is on Splyce is really clicking. They're going to be tough to beat.
Who's going to be the MVP from Splyce? It's kind of hard to call because every time a fight went well for them, it was that well-oiled machine, right? It was like the ultimate, then immediately blink gauge from Divios, all onto Zap. Cyno would land in as well. So it really was kind of this team ball looking for Zapman wherever he was.
It's got to be moswal, though, because without moswal's damage, no way Splyce kills anybody, really. I mean, they kill Zap, sure. And then what happens after that? I think Aror had a great game on the Artio. Yeah. He was unkillable and doing so much CC and so much. It just... that is the premier Aror game where every time it's just like, I am being annoyed by this Artio. Every time this Artio is near me, I am inconvenienced and my day is worse. And that's the way Aror wants you to feel when you play against him.
But this is what Splyce looks like when Splyce does well, right? This is why also in their same games, when they're struggling, it can look really bad.
Right.
Because Aror is trying to be that, you know, almost like another jungler kind of in the backline harassing the carries and forcing them back. If he's behind, doesn't work as well. So when Splyce look good, it looks just like that. And when they don't, it can look bad. When
Divios and Aror are both just like giggling all over your backline, just like laughing about how they can't be killed and they're killing everybody, the game's over from that point. Like there's no coming back from that.
Something like that.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad, at least for Aror.
It's all right.
Well, we still got plenty more Smite to go, at least in this set. Hopefully, we can make it all the way to Game 3, but we're going to need to see a little bit more from Trifecta. Let's see what the devs' thoughts are on their chances of making it happen.
Thanks a lot, Finch. Thanks a lot, Aggro. Great job on the call, as always. Great job from Splyce. Maybe not as always, but I think as of late, Black and Yellow looking to continue their ascent, and this game was no exception.
Very clean performance from the frontliners. Divios and Aurora really bringing in the pain. I love the mystical mail pickup out of the Artio from Aurora because you go into the backline, you're preventing the blinks from not only Sanford Soccer that was struggling the game, but also Scary D. That had a pretty good start, but couldn't really end well.
Yeah, I mean, Splyce in general was looking really strong here. The damage dealers were able to successfully do their thing. You mentioned, or Aggro mentioned, that moswal's damage was so incredibly important. 30,000 damage.
And that's brought to you because of the front line. Divios on the Xing Chen, Aror inconveniencing everyone and making Trifecta's day just that much worse.
30,000 damage.
I was a little surprised as to why the Vulcan was so early picked, considering that Odin was available, right? Like, they could have locked him down if they wanted to before the secondary ban phase, but instead they just kind of picked Ymir afterwards, which is a good pick. And it synergizes well with the Athena. I like the Athena-Ymir combo, but outside the Ymir, there was no real follow-up from the Athena taunts. Erlang, Shen, Anhur, Chernobog. There needed to be more of a traditional mage if you're going for a double guardian such as Ymir Athena.
Well, fantastic job. The team set him up to succeed, and he did just that. Mid lane moswal is going to be your MVP. The Vulcan came out, and he looked fantastic. As you said, and as Aggro mentioned as well, it was the front line that really enabled this. Whenever Splyce do find the victory, is going to be all on the backs of, when Divios and when Divios and Aurora wind up having a strong game, that usually translates to a strong game for Splyce in general.
And these two gods, if you think about Xing Chen and Artio, they're the anti-hunter guardians.
Oh, yeah.
You got the Furious Roar for Xing Chen. You got cripple minefields to force premature beads on the double hunter. Chernobog on her, there was a mindset there, but they didn't go for objectives in terms of with the Fafnir and trying to get that ball rolling. Instead, they were looking for certain picks across the map. Zapman made a very early rotation that wasn't fruitful. He fell behind in the farm department, unfortunately. That wasn't the result of their loss. It was actually that team fight around the 24-minute mark, that tier 1 tower siege that resulted in Splyce winning 2-for-1 off of Divios using that ultimate in the backline, and then Aurora just creating that buffer zone.